Salutations, this is Custom Edition Map Showcase, where I show off a single level or a group of levels that are significant to Halo Custom Edition. If you have suggestions on maps that I should go over in future episodes, leave your map ideas in the comment section below, and they may have a shot at appearing on the show at one point. For those who have Halo 5 or the PC Forge version, I have recently released a trailer for my Halo 5 version of Custom Edition's Chaos Gulch that is now available for download. Just search for the gamertag Vengeful Vatum, and make sure you download the game types Chaos Gulch and Chaos Gulch Capture the Flag that are associated with the map. Anyways, on to Custom Edition Map Showcase Episode 4, which will cover two of some of my current favorite multiplayer maps Custom Edition has so far. For this episode, we'll be diving into our first multiplayer map, Aerial, by Fube. I probably botched the name of it, I'm so sorry. Aerial harkens back to the classic, fast-paced arena FPS gameplay from the likes of Quake, Doom, and Unreal Tournament. This map has a substantial amount of verticality to it thanks to some of the best lifts Custom Edition has ever seen. Most grad lifts in Custom Edition are buggy and barely work as intended, while Aerial's lifts seamlessly raise the player to precisely where he or she wants to go, with no bad side effects. As said earlier, aspects of this map are inspired by classic FPS games, and like many of those shooters, this level has access to armor, quote unquote. These pickups slightly buff your shield strength each time you walk over one, giving you access to a small amount of overshielding. If you can survive long enough, you'll be able to grab enough armor pickups to reach a full overshield. While these seem really overpowered, the weapons on the map have insanely fast kill times, so it only helps you survive a couple more shots that would normally kill you. While these armor pickups exist, the classic overshield and active camo still make an appearance on the map for your use. Also new to Custom Edition, as far as I'm aware, is the gore seen when you give an enemy player. It very much resembles that of the type of gore seen in Doom, further showing off the inspirations that made this map. It's satisfying to see someone being literally blown up by my weapons. Nearly every weapon on the map functions differently than its standard counterparts. The changes given to these weapons help ramp up the pace of multiplayer matches, with each weapon wielding a stupidly large amount of firepower. There are no grenades on the map. Instead, each weapon also has a secondary firing mode, which can be used with the right trigger, while primary fire is still used with the left, obviously. I'll be going over some of my favorite weapons to use on the map. The Plaza Pistol is now a long-range sniper weapon. Its primary Plaza bolt fires a highly concentrated shot that has precise accuracy, but only the sharpest marksman can make good use of this weapon at closer ranges. However, its secondary fire performs much better up close. When the user holds down the right trigger, the Plaza Pistol unleashes a giant Plaza bolt that does high amounts of residual damage to anything caught in its radius. This is great for clearing rooms when there's no time to switch weapons. A cool aspect of the Plaza Pistol's overcharge is that you can actually shoot the Plaza bolt to cause an explosion that dishes out blast radius damage, but that strategy can backfire on the player if it explodes too closely to him or her, causing a great deal of damage that either mortally ruins a player or kills it outright. The plasma rifle's primary fire resembles a plasma rifle seen in the recently released Doom. Its damage output is surprisingly high when you manage to land as many consecutive shots as possible. It's best used in mid-range when there's easily enough to lead your shots. The plasma rifle also regains battery charge whenever you're not firing the weapon, something unique to this weapon compared to anything else on the map. Like the Plaza Pistol, its secondary fire shoots out a huge ball of plasma at the opponent. While its range is nowhere near as long as the Plaza Pistol's, it does much more damage when it manages to score a hit, but at the cost of immediately overheating, which hurts your shield. Make sure you're using this weapon after you have picked up enough armor or the overshield itself. The assault rifle also resembles that of the one seen in the new Doom game, where it's much more accurate than the standard combat evolved AR, but has a secondary fire that shoots out rockets. The AR is once again best used in medium ranges, but the rockets are nice for shooting around corners when you're relatively close to the enemy. Just remember that the rockets use up a good chunk of your overall ammo, so you have to pick and choose what types of rounds you want to use depending on how much ammo you have left in your magazine. The Needler is a brand new beast, behaving nothing like its main series counterpart other than causing super combined explosions. Its primary fire releases an insanely fast hailstorm of needles that is almost impossible to dodge when up close. Its secondary fire shoots heavier, more accurate needles that can be used to pick off targets from further distances. Given the map layout, the Needler works at just about every range on this level, making it one of the most versatile weapons to use here. Lastly, my overall favorite weapon to use on this map is the shotgun, which I feel is probably the best weapon in the level overall. It functions like the new Doom's combat shotgun, where its primary fire shoots normally, but its secondary fire is a grenade launcher. The grenade does a ton of blast radius damage and is an excellent tool to kill around corners, much like the AR. If you have good enough aim, your grenades can pick off targets from relatively far away when there's no time to switch out your weapons to something better suited to range combat. The rest of the weapons on the map have secondary firing modes as well, such as the pistol 2-shot burst and the rocket launcher's 3 rocket burst, but for the sake of video length, you must likely get the gist of what is to be expected on Aerial. Our next showcase is a multiplayer rendition of SPV3 Silent Cartographer Evolved by Perla117. Oh boy, I have a lot to talk about with this map. This level is easily one of the prettiest multiplayer maps Custom Edition has to offer, and because of that, it can be pretty demanding on certain computers. Expect to experience frame rate drops if you're running on a lower end PC. Around the beginning of my channel, I made an extensive overview of CNT's SPV3 campaign, In the last episode of that series, I talked about how the Sonic Cartographer nailed the concept of player choice. I'm happy to report that Perla's multiplayer version of that map successfully retains the idea of player choice seen in the single player version. There's a variety of weapons to choose from, nearly the perfect amount of vehicles, and most importantly, there's multiple different pathways that lead to each base. One of the greatest aspects of the Sonic Cartographer mission in the Combat Evolved campaign is the options you have for map movement. In the single player version of this play space, once you leave your Pelican, you can either push straight forward and head to the map room entrance to only be blocked out by the Covenant, or you can U-turn the opposite direction and immediately head to the security override station and not waste any time having to make more trips than you have to. It's the freedom of choice that makes this mission one of my favorites in the entire Halo series. That same freedom of choice can be found here in the multiplayer version of the Sonic Cartographer Evolved. Each side has access to a number of different pathways to their respective enemy base. Red Team starts on the beach. They can move forward across a beachhead which leads to a forest, or they have 3 different methods of approaching the base. Players can either move head on to the base where it'll take the least amount of time, but will most likely be fraught with danger. They can head to the waterfall and move right through it, which leads to the active camo and a teleporter that transports the player to a natural ramp overlooking the base, or they can head through this door, which leads to another teleporter and a pathway near away from the blue team's line of sight. However, be careful going this way in particular, as it's a common place for blue team members to be around, as there's not only a sniper rifle that spawns there, but it's a pathway for the blues to help them get to the red base just as easily. If you manage to sneak past the blues using this path, you can approach the flag from above, jump down to it, and either book it back through the teleporter and towards the area from where you came from, or through another teleporter that takes you to the bottom of the blue base, where you can quietly capture a ghost and speed off while the blues think you're near the sniper spawn. One thing to note, if you're planning on actually making the frontal assault to the base, you can run up towards the left side of the base and head straight through a door that leads you to the back of their base. Or you can head right beneath the base itself and go through the other teleporter that ultimately leads to the same location. That's not all. The red team can also, just like in the single player campaign, turn around while they're at their base and head in through the opposite direction, which will take the players right to the aforementioned active camouflage and teleporter without having to risk dealing with a potential scorpion. Blue team doesn't have as many actual pathways as red team does, but it's balanced out through each base's layout. Red team has more approaches to blue base, but red base itself can be attacked in 2 different places at once, the front and the back. On the flip side, the blues might not have as many directions to red base, but their base is up against the wall, which means that the only way for the red to attack from behind, quote unquote, is via the teleporter area near the sniper spawn. Blue team can go straight in to the most direct route to red base, but once again, anyone going this way is vulnerable to long-range attacks from rocket warthogs, tanks, and snipers. There is, however, an overshield and a rocket launcher available for a pickup on blue side of this area to help even the odds. Next, blues can end up in the same area, only this time by means of the teleporter near their sniper spawn to help combat the opposing red team sniper. After that, there are 2 ways to make it to the active camouflage cave. Blues can head towards the beach like they normally would if they were planning to make the frontal assault, only this time they take the right path and head into the waterfall towards the camo cave. Or they can take the longer yet safer path by jumping on a couple of Covenant crates and running alongside the ramp overlooking blue base and moving towards the teleporter leading to said cave. This cave area will help the blues attack red base from behind. Both sides have access to the beach's ocean as a means of sneaking around enemy opposition. It's a neat trick that offers yet another way to attack the enemy bases. One thing to know about the water on this level is that you can't shoot through the surface on it to attack other players. You'll either have to lob grenades or take the plunge into the water yourself to deal damage. As you can probably tell, there's a lot of different ways to go from point A to point B on this map, and it already encompasses the idea of player choice, and we haven't even gotten to the weapons and vehicles yet. The tag set is mostly from the older version of SBV3 single player version of this map, and the creator didn't have access to the more updated tags seen in the more recent release of said campaign. So weapons like the assault rifle, carbine, and blue plasma rifle, for instance, behave much differently than the more current counterparts. Weapons that behave like you'd expect them to are the rocket launcher, sniper rifle, shotgun, plasma rifle, assault rifle, needler, and the 2 standard battle rifles. Speaking of battle rifles, there are 3 kinds on this map. Yep, 3. I personally don't agree with this decision as they feel kind of redundant to each other. There's the standard SPV3 battle rifle, the suppressed version of the same weapon, and, oddly enough, a Halo 2 anniversary version of the battle rifle. I really don't know why this weapon is here when there are 2 other battle rifles on the level. I feel it's wasted space that could have been used for another weapon or something. The Carbine is a fully automatic headshot weapon, meaning it can be deadly in medium ranges where its true potential is fully realized. There's also the DMR, which handles targets from much further distances than the battle rifle's Carbine and the Magnum, but not as well as the sniper rifle from very far away. However, I personally perform the best with the Magnum you start off with. It's not a 3-shot kill like the Combat Evolved pistol, but it's the most accurate out of all the headshot weapons, and there's plenty of ammo for it scattered around the map. This and the assault rifle you also spawn with make for a deadly combination, as the AR handles targets up close, while the Magnum takes people out from further distances. On the vehicle side, there's the chain gun Warthog, rocket Warthog, and Ghost that performs precisely like their Halo 1 counterparts. However, the Scorpion is from Soy's single player adventure, a campaign that I covered in the second episode of Custom Edition Map Showcase. Personally, I feel this tank is almost overpowered on this map, and it's due to its amazing accuracy unlike that of the standard Scorpion. Both teams can use the tank to defend their bases with ease, especially with teammates backing it up. It's also really unfortunate when one team managed to acquire both of the map's tanks. With only one rocket launcher on the map, and the rocket warthogs being the only other method to insta-kill a tank, there's not a lot on the map that really beats this thing other than a lot of rifle fire and some plasma grenades. As you have seen in the video so far, sprinting is a feature on this map, but it only works if the server is running the scripts associated with the mechanic, so you can't load up the level by yourself and sprint around it unless you're running on a dedicated server with the scripts in place. Another neat feature on this map is its day and night cycle depending on which game mode you're playing. Capture the Flag takes place during the day, while Slayer, Oddball, and King of the Hill happen at night. One last thing to mention before I move on, there's a small gap between the forest area and the beach, so watch your step or you will die. For the first time in Custom Edition Map Showcase, I'm going to be doing a bonus map segment that will become a standard in the series. This is a part of the episode where I will go over yet another unrelated map in a shorter amount of time to provide some more content within each installment of the series. For this week's bonus map segment, I'll be going over MP Final strategy game type for single player. It's as if Halo Custom Edition could become more awesome than it already was. Now it could be a strategy game too. While there's not much to the test map that showcases the game type in action, what makes this map special is the possibilities that can potentially arise from this game type's creation. We can most likely have entire campaigns that revolve around strategic elements from an aerial perspective of levels rather than being in first person. The test map shows off a few basic encounters against the Covenant. Here, you could spawn Marines wielding assault rifles, a small squad of sniper Marines, and a Spartan-controlled Warthog. You can spawn as many infantry users as you like on this map, but only one Warthog. You move your units via the beacons around the level, although the snipers and Warthogs are limited to only certain beacons and don't have access to all of them. Given that the AI on this map behave exactly like they do in the standard game when it comes to combat, the battles are actually RNG based in a way. The only surefire way to win any of these engagements is to simply outnumber the enemy, as boring as that sounds. The Warthog is also really tricky to control. It does not have the mental capacity to perform a U-turn, meaning it can only drive straight forward. It has to be directly facing a beacon in order to move. The Warthog also awkwardly slides around the map slowly when not being used. Lastly, if the driver of the Warthog happens to die, it becomes immobile and can no longer be used. Given that it slides, it's doomed to be alone forever. Guys, I can't get off this thing! Somebody superglued the handles on this turret! Hey Jenkins, the prank on Chief worked. What did you just fucking say? Yeah, Mendoza, it totally worked. Jenkins, when I get off this turret, I'm gonna fucking kill you and your shit friend! Crap, I'm out of here. Running, running, running! No wait, I'm just kidding! I'm serious! Help me! I can't get off! Jenkins! 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 Hopefully these issues get addressed by other map makers soon, because I see a great deal of potential with this game mode. And that's it for this week. If and only if you enjoyed what you saw today, hit that like button and subscribe for more Halo content on this channel. One last thing before we go. I apologize in advance for not uploading as frequently as I should. I'm working on a huge video for next month, so expect something big in the coming weeks. This is the Ventral Vatum, and I'll see you on the great journey. Jenkins!